If you haven't already, then be sure to check out my review of Dragon Ball Super Episode 53, the grand debut of a new character, Zamasu. Dragon Ball Super Episode 53 introduced us to a brand new character, Zamasu, and his master, Gowasu. See, I told you all that I would know his name, but we were introduced to these new characters, with Zamasu having a lot of similarities to that of Goku Black, and now episode 54 we're also going to explore more of that. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. The episode starts out with Trunks doing a lot of visual training from the words of Shu of the Pilaf gang. He's visualizing himself fighting Goku Black, and it's a pretty cool visual, I must say. It's him and Goku Black surrounded by nothing but fire, and they're fighting, and you know, it's the usual stuff. Pretty cool imagery. It makes me think of that one fire sequence from the Cell Saga of Dragon Ball Z, where Vegeta and future Trunks are in the time chamber, or you know, the room of spirit and time, whatever you prefer to call it, and Vegeta just gets engulfed by flames. It's a really cool visual. That's what it reminded me of. So it gave me a bit of a nostalgic feeling. So Shu explains to Mai what visual training is, because they also happen to be looking over what future Trunks is doing. And Kid Mai just starts doing a little bit of visual training herself, and it gets to a very, very creepy point where she's imagining Trunks is about to kiss her near death, and oh my god, it's just, no, please, we can't reach this point. It just, at first it was cute, but now it's just getting, there's a line that's drawn, okay? You don't cross it. They're getting very steadily close to that line, and eventually they might just trip over it because, man, I don't know, it's creeping me out a bit. I know it's different in Japan, but when I'm sitting there watching this, I'm just like, oh, I don't want to see this, please stop. So after all of that is said and done, we see a meteor-like thing crash into the ground, and it's Goku, Beerus, and Whis is like, well, for all your guys' bickering, I couldn't calculate how fast we were going, so we plummeted into the ground. It's a pretty funny scene, you know, Goku just being a fool and Beerus being his annoyed self. This leads into a scene where Whis explains for a minute that Zamasu has similar ki to that of Goku Black that they felt while they were fighting. I also forgot to mention this in my last episode review. While Goku was fighting Zamasu, he, Whis, and Beerus all noticed that Zamasu shares a very similar ki to that of Goku Black, but it's not exactly the same. Similar, but not equal. And Whis brings this up to future Trunks, and future Trunks is like, well, are you sure it's not him? Do you think maybe he could like disguise himself as Goku Black? And Beerus says, you know, as of right now, that doesn't seem to be the case, but you know, down the line that could happen. So maybe they're hinting at Zamasu turning into Goku Black further down the line, but who knows? I don't know, it just seems too obvious for me. I feel like they're gonna like throw a gigantic swerve at us. I'm mentioning this again because in my last review I mentioned it. And if you haven't watched that, go watch that now. I'm demanding you. Actually, no, I'm just kidding. You can watch wherever you want. But I would really like it if you could go watch that review. Basically, I think Toriyama and the Toei crew are going to swerve us. You know what they say, sometimes it's better to always expect the unexpected. So, you know, Trunks starts thinking to himself, you know, with how strong Goku is since he was able to take on the God of Destruction, which Beerus literally just stated after saying that about Zamasu. Trunks, you know, he just thinks to himself, you know, maybe I didn't have to get stronger at all. I have, you know, Goku. And Vegeta's noticing this because, you know, Trunks looks really amazed at how, like, strong Goku's gotten. You know, everybody starts to leave, and Vegeta just calls Trunks over. He's like, hey, come here. I'm going to train you. Vegeta and Trunks are about to start training, and Vegeta's talking to Trunks saying, I'm sure you haven't forgotten how I was back in the past. That hasn't changed as far as his attitude goes, you know. Trunks goes Super Saiyan 2, and what he says to Vegeta is hilarious. Especially what comes right after. He says, alright, go to the same form as Goku, Super Saiyan 3, and, you know, show me your full strength. And Vegeta just laughs this off. And I'm over here laughing too, because here, I'm thinking, yeah, you know, it's funny because he doesn't know there's a transformation after, but I'm just laughing because Vegeta, maybe he's laughing because, ha 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 ha, I could skip that, ha ha, I never went to it, ha ha ha, unless you count the video games, ha 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 ha. Man, Vegeta is a cheater when it comes to transformations. So he goes Super Saiyan Blue, and Trunks, of course, is amazed. And Vegeta's like, I see you're amazed, you know, are you not feeling as confident as you were? Well, here's how we're gonna do it. If you can land one hit on me, you win. So they start fighting, or actually they're about to start fighting. And again, Trunks transforms into a Ascended Saiyan. I forgot what it's called, but the fan name for it is Ultra Super Saiyan, and Vegeta's like, you dare do that? You still rely on that? I'm disappointed in you. And what Vegeta doesn't know is Trunks is fooling him into thinking that he relies on that just so he can go back to his, Super Saiyan 2 form and try and land a hit on him, which in a way he almost does. He's pounding him in until Vegeta, starts beating the crap out of him. And Goku senses this key and he brings Bulma with him, to check it out. And Vegeta's just pounding Trunks into the ground, or in the air actually. He doesn't pound him to the ground until it's about to end. And when it does end, ooh, man oh man. He can see that Trunks is hurting, but Trunks just thinks, I don't have to get strong at all. I've got my dad and I've got Goku who can fight black for me. And he smiles and Vegeta gets so mad. He's like, why are you smiling? Isn't your goal to get as strong as Black so you can beat him? If you are a real son of mine, you are never going to lose again. And it's pretty cool because you can see here that Vegeta cares about his son. And Bulma's like, alright, that's enough. But then Goku's like, what? That's how Saiyans are. They train like that. Vegeta lets him go, and when Vegeta isn't looking, Trunks headbutts him. And everybody's like, uh-oh. And Vegeta gets mad. He's like, you... And then it leads into Trunks smiling, saying, I will get stronger than Black, and I will get stronger than you. And he goes to, help him off the ground, and Vegeta just kind of, shrugs it off because he's Vegeta. And you would think this bothers Trunks and everything, but Trunks just walks up next to Bulma and Goku, bows, because, he's showing a sign of respect. I gotta give him props for that. The other plot line to this episode was we got to see more of Zamasu and his master Gowasu. Yes, his name is Gowasu. Either that, or I'm saying it wrong. If I'm saying it wrong, let me know, and give me a more of a correct way to say it, like pronunciation, I would say. But until then, I'm calling him Gowasu. So Gowasu and Zamasu are talking about, of course, humanoid beings, because Gowasu's looking over a planet that is now being infested by humanoid, creatures. But these creatures are more savage-like. And no, not savage like, some internet comment where everybody's like, oh shit, he said that. No. The actual meaning of savage. Prehistoric, essentially. So, this is when Zamasu's like, so, if that's the case, if they're gonna, act that way forever, why don't we just wipe them out? And Gowasu's like, what did he just say? That's not our job. Because it's, it's the job of the god of destruction. He's only allowed to destroy anything out of creation. And then this triggers Gowasu into saying, you know what? Let's look into the future. Let's go 1,000 years into the future and see if they're still like this. And he goes into this room. He pulls out all these filing cabinets out of the blue in this room. And he just goes into one and pulls out the time rings. He explains what each one does. Gowasu explains that time rings are used to mainly go to the future and then for you to come back to your present time. And that you're not allowed to go into the past because it's not possible. And even if it was, it's not allowed. It's looked down on. And he mentions that there's rings that I guess are created after something in the past is altered, if anything, to where the something in the future changes, like, a new world is created or a new civilization, something along those lines. And rings form, new rings. And he said one was formed years ago, and, what kind of idiot could have done that? Well, I'll tell you what, idiot. Trunks. Trunks. I'm sorry about that. I had something stuck in my throat. But they go to the future, and they see that they're forming a civilization now 1,000 years in the future, but they are still like savages, like brutes, attacking one another. And, Zamasu then comes to a realization that the only way that the universes will ever have peace is if the humans are destroyed, essentially. So, again, they're pointing more towards him being black, but I'm still not convinced. I'm not going to fall for it. I'm just going to wait and see what happens. The episode ends with Beerus and Whis, back at their home planet, and they get a call from Zeno, the king of all. He is the strongest being in all of Dragon Ball, every universe. And Zeno contacts Beerus and Whis, and he says, it's hilarious how this episode ends, because Zeno says, I want to talk to Goku. And the reaction from Beerus and Whis, they just scream, they yell, and that's how the episode ends. Perfect. Loved it. So good. Overall, this episode was pretty good, I would say. It wasn't the best. It wasn't the worst. It falls somewhere in between. You know what? It was alright. The animation was a little iffy at times. Sometimes the characters' faces looked off, and I don't know. Dragon Super's been having an issue with the way the hands are drawn, and I don't know why, I always find myself noticing that. But I like the music choices by Sumitomo, I believe his name is. The music by Sumitomo never ceases to amaze me. I really like his soundtrack. So yeah, this episode was really good, and I recommend you check it out if you haven't already. This is Gojira 2012, saying farewell for now.